Best player I ever played on.
Really?
Yeah, just stunning.
Charging on through with the biggest perm in the world.
I've never had a perm, Will.
I've never seen someone steaming, like physically steaming.
I've never been angrier in my life.
You couldn't even breathe.
Everyone in our team wanted to be his. He was so cool, tough. I never had a thought after that day of ever wanting to succeed at anything other than football.
Wow.
Okay, welcome here to Melbourne. We're here with BackChat, powered by Paywise, and I'm very excited to have this man on board. Dermott Brereton joins us on the show. Hello, Derm. Good to have you, mate.
Dan, thank you for having me.
Brilliant to have you in here, mate. Now, look, I'd love to say that you're a huge BackChat fan. Not sure if you are, not sure if you're not.
I'd heard of it.
Yes, great. So, you may not know, though, we ask every guest the same question. Every podcast we've ever done over 100 of these. Same question.
Yeah.
I know your football career. Great footballer. 5-time premiership player, 5-time night premiership player.
Even though you hesitated.
No. I'm looking you in the eye. So I know what you've done as a footballer, mate. Over 200 games, 3 clubs. Brilliant footballer. Some of the great moments in AFL football.
But. I knew there's a but coming.
But I want to know your greatest sporting achievement, not on the football field, Derm. I know you can play football, and we're going to get into football, but we want to know what you can do off the football field. Were you a cricketer, a tennis player, a high jumper, a pole vaulter, a javelin thrower, a breakdancer? I don't know.
Breakdancer. That's topical.
Mate, I want to know your greatest sporting achievement, thanks to TABtouch this year, not on the football field.
Well, I do know I love cricket, played cricket, and still play cricket. I'm approaching 6. By the time this goes to air, I am 60 in 6 days' time.
Happy birthday, Derm.
Thank you, mate.
Birthday.
I'm still playing cricket with my mates I grew up with my mates I sat next to in primary school. I've done pretty well right through. Just go back down to Frankston, and play for the mighty Heatherhill Cricket Club.
Taking a hat-trick, made 100.
Yeah, I've made a few hundreds. Made a state squad as a under 16. Didn't get to play for Victoria, but made the squad under 16. Yeah, well done, Derm. You carry the drinks.
What are you? Are you a bowler or a batter or are you all round?
Look, at local level, when we went to firsts, I batted number 3 and was an opening bowler. If I pushed on and went up to town, I probably would have played seconds, maybe the odd first games. I know Todd Bremen or Earl Spalding or anyone like that, but I could get him down there half sharp.
Yes.
Half sharp for us is about 130 Ks. It's pretty average compared to reasonably, but I was a slinger. Best achievement, apart from holding the under-10s Little Athletics discus record for half a year.
Brilliant.
In the Frankston District Little Aths.
Brilliant.
I knocked over Court Marshbowl Brereton G Chapel in a game once. Legitimate leg cutter. I don't know how it came out. Don't know how it took off, but Rod Marsh came up to him and said, "Yeah, that'll go down in the history books."
How good's that? Personally, I like the discus under 10.
Yeah, I love you just leading us in with all the cricket and then just sneaks in discus. That was great.
Yeah, that's sort of, I hadn't thought about that until my partner, Julie, were watching the Olympics. And just out of the blue, I haven't thought of it for 30 years. Says, I held a record once.
That's bloody good. I like that. A lot of people see you in media now and saw your football career, but keen to know what was growing up like for Dermott Brereton. How does one of the great footballers of the modern era grow up? What's footy? Your sporting family? Are you moving around? Are you parents?
Grew up in Frankston. I was a pretty good kid with a good attitude, good student, but had the touch of rat bag. I'd get in trouble a fair bit. Things like, probably don't want my son to hear this, but we'd go out and go shoplifting for chocolates and stuff like that. And there's some funny stories. One of my mates was, we all got back to our meet-up point, and I've pulled out a Chiquito, and another mate's pulled out a Crunchy, and another one's pulled out an Arrow bar. And my mate, James Horn, he's pulled out a box of trout fishing flies. I've gone, what are they? Can't eat them. And he went, oh, they just look colourful. Anyway, a couple of weeks later, I said to him, what have you done with the fishing flies? He said, I gave them to Dad for his birthday. He doesn't even fish. But we were rat bags. He dared me to lie underneath the platform when the train came in once, so I did it.
Oh, bloody hell.
Sort of. So I was one of those kids. If you said to me, if somebody made a jump down the end of the street, you know, like heaped up soil, and you had to jump over a ditch, and all the kids are going, oh, there's no way I'm ever going to do that. They'll go, get Derm, he'll do it. Yeah, bang, and then I'll go home and get stitched up. I had so many stitches as a kid. I used to get stitched up regularly. I mean, one time I had my knee stitched, went down to the doctors to get the stitches out after the 14 days or whatever the obligatory time was. I got out of the car, I ran to show my brother who was on the swing in the backyard, and I stood in front of him in the swing, and he had the old hard-edged steel-fronted school shoes on from the 1970s, the Barter Scouts, and they were brand new, so the plastic wasn't steel edge, it was plastic edge, but it was hard and sharp. And I stood and looked down at my knee and said, look what they did. Paul, look, they took the stitches out. And he put his feet out as he swung in, kicked me in there by accident. All right, back down to the doctors. I could get injured anywhere. Yeah, stitched up. But I was a good kid, good student. Parents were very supportive, very good for me for my sporting career. My old man was a brilliant, very, very flawed man. It's probably more the serious nature of anyone asked me stuff. Very flawed man. Took his own life in the end. Right. But he was a brilliant, brilliant person in several ways. He was played rugby in Ireland, next level down from Test, sat on the bench for Ireland. I've got the, what do they call, the budget, the magazine, the record of that. See his name. He was a front row forward, loose head, and genuinely was a world-class saxophone player. So brilliant but flawed. Mum was just, you know, a loving mother who loved her kids, and I had, on their two sides, it was kind of traumatic, the backgrounds, turmoil. One was Protestant and one was Roman Catholic from Ireland. They moved out here, but they got married in Ireland. But pretty well, my sets of grandparents refused to meet each other to their dying day out of Roman Catholic and Protestant. Yeah, so that's a sort of a turmoil in the background history there. But yeah, they were good with us.
Well, your parents are Irish. Do you remember your first time as a kid going to the footy, laying your eyes on the footy, playing footy? Like, do you remember what that was like?
Yeah, there was a place just recently built called Waverley Park. I think it was 1974. So I was born 64. So during the year of the footy season, I'd have been 9. And a mate of mine, Peter Richardson, his old man, was a member at Waverley. And I haven't seen Richo for 45 years. Anyway, and he said, Dad and I are going to go to the footy today. Do you want to come? And I said, yeah, I'll go home and ask. So in those days, you ran home 2Ks.
No text messages.
No, your parents said yes. You ran back and said yes. What time are we leaving? And they say, oh, we'll leave here at midday. You ran home and got what you needed, then you ran back again. They didn't come pick you up. Yeah, so we sort of walked and ran everywhere. And I remember walking in at Waverley Park, and it was Collingwood v Footscray. Footscray won that day.
Right.
Fabulous Phil Carman, who became my idol, was playing. And I walked in through those tunnelways. There were all tunnelways through to the main arena for the spectators. And I got to there, and we didn't even get to the seat. They kept walking, and I was walking last in line, and I just stood there, looked at the green grass. The reserves were playing at that stage, and there were Collingwood jumpers, Footscray jumpers, red, white, and blue. Collingwood, vivid black and white, and the green and the strips were cut and mowed. They used to do it cross pattern in those days, not like the blocks of 10 metre. And I stood there and just looked at the colours, and I was just completely and utterly captivated by the glory of all these colours before me. And that wasn't even the main event. That was the reserves.
Yeah.
And then next thing I, sort of shook my head. I've got to find, I'm with Richo. They'd kept walking. I couldn't find them. And so anyway, they backtracked a little bit and came and found me. And 5 minutes later, went to the seats, and I never had a thought after that day of ever wanting to succeed at anything other than football.
Wow.
Which you did. And you ended up at a pretty successful club, but I don't think it was luck. We had Dipper on the show not too long ago.
How'd that go? Did you get a word in?
It was brilliant, Dipper.
He's great. I love him.
Told some great stories.
You know what his real name is?
Robert?
Petrolomev Stefano Di Domenico.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've had to. We travel that much together. We're roomers together, and that. The amount of times I had to grab his passport. First time I looked at it, it was Petrolomev. What's that anglicised to? And he says, just Bertie. But it's actually Bartholomew would be the anglicised version.
Right.
And yet we go for, in the 70s, like Australians go, we're not saying that name.
Yeah.
Robert. You can be a Robert. No, he's not a Robert. He's a Petrolomev. Yeah.
Wow,
I love
so
that.
what was your experience of footy before the game? Like, did you hear about, as a young guy, were there teams that you followed or anything like that? Because,
I followed Collingwood.
Right.
I followed Collingwood, and I did love watching footy. But in those days, it was just the footy replay at 7:30 on a Saturday night was when you got to watch footy on TV, and it was 1/2 hour, well, 1/4 of football that they edited and put on as the big replay. That was it. As time went on, it grew to an hour show with two quarters of different games, and that was pretty well it. That was your fix, and then you got World of Sport on a Sunday. But as a kid in the schoolyard, every kid played Aussie rules. Every kid then swapped over and played cricket in summer. So they were the two staples for a kid from middle class Frankston, and they were his options. Yeah.
Did you so you got some sporting talent from your dad? Did you get the music as well? You played anything?
I was a choir boy. No, I can't play anything. He made me take up. I've still got the saxophone. He made me take up the saxophone. I got to nursery rhymes like everyone else. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, that sort of stuff. It'd be 40 years, I reckon, since I've picked up that tenor sax. No, I had a drum kit once, and that's not really musical talent, although the great drummers are, but just keeping 2/4 time ain't that hard. Yeah.
Having a look back at your career, you go to Hawthorn, and we know the success that club had. Reading some notes earlier on in your career, and it looked like it went throughout your career, physical, combative on the field, but I don't know you. We're not best mates, but I feel like I've met you enough now that you're not a physical and combative bloke off the field. Was it like that from the beginning, where it was a little bit chalk and cheese, a little bit, or did it cross over? Like how do you look at Derm off the field, Derm on the field?
Yeah, it's a great question because I've thought about that myself a lot. And the sport shapes you. You shape into the sport. And it keeps pushing and moulding into each other. As a junior, every kid, you would have been the same. Every kid who plays league football, unless he's one of these rare footballers who actually plays alongside someone in junior footy who also makes league footy, he's arguably the best player in his comp at that stage. So that would have been me. So I was only ever a ball player, never fought. Never did anything too physical. I liked bumping for some reason. I don't know why. But and then when I got to Hawthorn, they said, look, you're 6'1", so you're going to be a bit short, and kept growing a little bit after that. But so they tried me in the midfield, and I had the tank that I could play midfield, but I had really long arms and a really good spring. And you get into the gym, you start doing, and they're sort of, I'm just genetically, they were starting to raise eyebrows going, Jesus Christ, look what this kid can lift and whatever. And then they start saying, right, okay, play on the half-forward line. Just play half-forward flank and treat it like your own. So then I did. And we had a centre-half forward by the name of Nick Wilton in the reserves at Hawthorn who got injured, and our coach said, can you play centre-half forward? I said, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, to the end of that game, I think I kicked 6 after half-time in reserves.
So you're a forward now.
Yeah. But I'd always played centre-half forward in junior, so I had a good understanding of the rudiments of it. Not that junior football in those days taught you that much, which you go on with. It's more of a timing issue. The next week, kicked 6 from centre-half forward. The following week, kicked another 6 from centre-half forward and got my shot in the seniors. And then I was always, for a bloke who ended my height, 6'1.5", I had to fight. I could outrun nearly every defender who played on me. It's the only thing I couldn't grow. I couldn't be taller. So I had to be able to be conscious of pushing and shoving. So I got in the gym and worked exceptionally hard, really hard, and became really quite strong. And with that, I don't know, at that age or whatever, you start to think, yeah, well, I can do this as well now. And you start to get more physical. And then I used to train and do like sets of bench press. People would go, the old standard was you'd go and you do 3 sets of 8 on a reasonably good weight. I would do 5 sets of 3 on a seriously heavy weight because I said, well, if I tackle somebody, I don't want to be able to tackle 20 times a game because you just don't reach that many. If I tackle somebody, I'll get to 3 a game, but they ain't getting away. So I would train on, what was it? It was 300 pounds. So I'd do my sets on 300 pounds, 5 sets of 3 reps on 300 pound, which is pretty strong.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if I got them, I could hang on and I could really crunch. And through that, you start to think more and more physically, and it just sort of, players look to you to be more physical. You look to them. And I had teammates come up to me and say, thanks, mate, for bumping that bloke off.
Sticking up for me.
Belting that bloke off in a fair bump. And it becomes self-fulfilling. You become that player as your career goes on. So that sort of happened. And then a couple of times I remember playing league footy. My very first game was a West Australian. His name was Kevin Bryant. He played for North Melbourne. My very first game, I was chasing Ross Glendenning, best player I ever played on.
Really?
Yeah, just stunning. Just an awesome player.
Right.
And I was chasing him, and I was given that 3/4, not really trying.
Need to look like you're trying.
Yeah, bobbing the head up and down. So
Make sure
the coach says, yeah, he's having a go. But I wasn't. And then luckily for some reason, I looked to my left as I was chasing on an arc to the left, chasing the target that way. I just looked over my shoulder a little bit more. And it was like I faced Craig McDermott with good wheels. It was like dodging his bouncer. It's just, and this big fleshy shoulder just went straight through. That was next week's stuff if he had got me. And it would have been fair in the day. I was just naive. So that type of thing there, you learn a lesson there. They play for keeps up here. They're not here for just the majesty of football. They are playing to win, and they don't care how they do it. So you become that mindset, that player. And I always felt that, if the wicked are kind of always stronger, aren't they? So if you can become the wicked in the opposition's mind, well, you got a better shot at succeeding with that.
Yeah, it's always interesting hearing how those sort of stories evolve. John Worsfold probably was that for West Coast, right? And knowing Woosha very well.
He knocked me over a couple of times.
Did he?
Yeah,
I mean, he's one of the more mild-mannered.
Lovely man.
Like,
Lovely man.
off the field.
Yeah.
He's a pharmacist. He call him the pharmacist because he is one, and he
Yeah.
just genuinely he would be behind the counter with a white cloak on with glasses, and you wouldn't even know that.
Yeah.
On the weekends he was
Lovely
nothing but
fella.
that.
Yeah.
I think there was one at Subi in the pocket. And
He got me in the pocket.
just flattened you.
Yeah.
Hard man.
Well, you know what? It stands to reason. If you've got good vision, you can see it coming. And I had pretty good vision. So I only got 200 times. I think I got done 3 times. I reckon Whoosh, I got 2 of them. Anyway, yeah. Hard up against the goal line, turning and then away from goal and then turning to come back in, surrounded by players. So you're in a corridor. You know you're going to wear it. Anyway, he banged into me. It got me flush. Lucky it didn't get me that way because when you get rattled, you're gone. But it got me that way, and I just went onto all fours and went, oh, Christ. And, you know, like these lights here, if you stare at that light right now, there'll be a yellow orb just blurbing right there in the middle. After Woosha got me, I looked up and there was the big yellow orb just blurring away in the middle of my vision. And I forget who it was. Well, clearly I didn't know it was. They came to me and said, "Are you all right?" And I'm looking at you to me away from them and I'm like, yeah, I can't see them. I couldn't see them, but I could see around the peripheral. That was semi-clear. I said, "You all right to stay on?" Yeah, I'll be all right. And then I start going, yeah, I'm okay because I can see him. I played the rest of the game looking off the ball as it was coming towards me, trying to mark it because my vision was gone in the middle. It took a few days for that blur orb in the middle to go, so you could only see around the edge. Yeah, it wasn't a great feeling, but Busher did that one. He got me another time, which wasn't as bad, and I tried to milk it for 50, but no, the umpire was having none of it. And of all the other people, a very, very fair player, Paul Roos got me once. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Roosy.
A couple of head coaches.
Yeah, it's true.
Did you ever feel you got targeted, like after you got a bit of an MO that, you know, you were a hard player? Did you feel, because it looked like on that Woosha one from, I randomly watched it this morning, like he ran to the contest to hit you and then
he was aiming it up. Yeah, and rightly so. Yeah, why not?
Yatesy, that feels like.
Yatesy didn't get me in the head, so that's why I didn't bring that one up, though, so I wasn't KO'd, but yeah. Did I feel like I could target? Absolutely. It was a brutal game then in that era. We had 3 standouts that played with real physical presence, so the opposition would. You're genuine. People say, oh, yeah, it makes them look over their shoulder. Not really, until you stand under a footy or something like that. In those days, you might get a little bit. So we had Gary Ayres in the back line, who was just, speaking of great blokes, he's one of the greatest. Yeah, ripping fella. Everyone in our team wanted to be Ayres. He was so cool, tough, and he was genuinely tough and hard and touch nasty. Dipper was all meatballs, elbows and gravy, you know, and myself in the forward line. So we'd go out of our way. I wouldn't go looking for them, but for a 5-minute period, I might say, they're going okay. I need to take something to them, and I'd seek it out. Yeah, I'd go. So the opposition, because I could get them at speed. So the big blokes, the ruckman, yeah, they can hurt if they do something wrong. But the blokes my size, 94, 5 kilos, who can motor and get a run up in those days, they're the ones who hurt. Woosha could hurt.
Yes.
I only thank God he wasn't another 5 to 10 kilos heavier, because that would have, if he could have kept
her to kill.
We wouldn't be talking now. Yeah.
Gary Ablett, I was a massive Geelong fan. I mean, Gary Ablett looked like one of those.
He was
players.
like that, wasn't he? Yeah.
Looking back on your career, like you shared a forward line with Jason Dunstall.
Piggy,
like you two. Yeah. So you got, you're still working together in the media today. So it must have been maybe not at the time, but now looking back, like that's a pretty bloody good forward line amongst some others as well.
We had the third string forwards were absolute stars as well. Tony Hall, in 1989, he got taken down in a state game by Andy Collins, another teammate from Hawthorn, Victoria versus South Australia, ruined his knee. Now, we won the night premiership, the day premiership, when night premierships were valued.
Yeah. That was a real competition.
Oh, yeah, my word, it
wasn't a pre-season.
Yeah. That was the difference between you being in the red and the black at the end of the year, winning the night premiership. Tony Hall was leading our best and fairest count comfortably at the moment he got taken down with that knee injury in that forward line. We had Paul Abbott, who ended up over in Perth. I still think he lives there now. Eddie Rabbit, nickname. Peter Curran, super player. And then the smaller bloke, Gary Buckenara, who was an all-time great, a star champion, and those types of players. So they were very, very good. Piggy and I were Jason's birthday is 3 days before mine. I got there a bit before him. His prep into footy at the start wasn't that great. He came down from Queensland. The first time we did a time trial, Normie Goss, who was a former champion, he was our chairman of selectors. He was heard to say when 49 blokes had finished doing the 4K time trial and the one bloke at the end still had a lap and a half to go, Normie Goss was heard to say, which recruiting officer put their hand up for the fat bloke from Queensland?
He probably proved him wrong.
Yeah, he did. Right? He did. He was an amazing player. Great speed, great strength, really strong between there and there, clunk on the lead. So in those days, backlines played one-on-one. There wasn't much of a team defence. Really, the only person who had to contend with a team defence was the centre forward, because the ruckman let the other ruckman go to their half-back line. The ruckman came onto their half-back line. So centre-half forward would stand here. You'd have a centre-half back there. You have a ruckman standing there where he thought the ball was going to drop in your area. So what would have to happen as a centre forward? You would have to go look at the hang time, pull away from the ruckman, work out the hang time it takes for him to get there. Can I get there? Yes, I can. I'm in the right spot and I've got to beat this bloke to get there. So you'd have to start strategizing like that. But Piggy and I, his first year he came on was 86. I think he kicked 80-odd goals. So, and from then on, it just went from strength to strength. So, yeah, we won 86, lost 87, won 88, won 89.
You would have had a great relationship with him, but I can't imagine the connection was too strong after he went back and slotted his 100th goal and you were brawling blokes in the goal square, had it reversed, and then the quarter-time siren goes.
Three-quarter time.
And then you go charging on through with the biggest perm in the world.
I've never had a perm, Will.
Sorry, look out.
Natural.
Oh, no. Sorry, Dermott. Please excuse my ignorance. But it was a long time ago, and I've only seen the vision. So I don't know what you used to do at the hairdresser. But geez, I pissed myself laughing watching that vision, mate. The running through the huddle didn't make me laugh because I kind of see where your head space was at. It was the build up to it. Like I've never seen someone steaming, physically steaming.
I've never been angrier in my life.
You couldn't even breathe. You were struggling to get oxygen in and out of your mouth.
Have you seen?
Oh, yeah.
Just
the umpire and then the players rubbing your hair, and you were physically steaming.
Just yelling words as you walked.
Yeah.
Spitting.
If it hadn't have been a paid career, like if it was honorary football, I'd have belted that umpire. if it was VAFA. In fact, these days I wouldn't be allowed to go back and play local football. No. I've had 39-week suspension. I think the cut-off point's 16.
So you're done. You almost had it in 2 goes at Sydney, 2 7-weekers.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, I've had enough for 3 careers to be thwarted.
But it was a different time back then, and you wouldn't see players running through huddles these days. But that was, you must look back
Well,
at
they
that.
never did then either.
Right.
I don't know what it was. Look, I got really angry. You know, of all things, I was sticking up for Piggy because he took a mark, fell away from the umpire. You're implicit in everything out there, and you're so connected to everything. And I knew he'd turned away from the umpire's field of vision. And Billy Duckworth, my opponent at that stage, went to knee him in the head. So I remonstrated with Bill. He remonstrated with me. In the end, I think I kissed him at that stage just for a bit of a laugh. Anyway, we're on the goal line. He pushed me. I pushed him. Billy made out he'd been, blow darted or whatever it was. and the umpire gave a free kick. Now, that umpire, when you said before, do you ever feel like you were targeted? Yes, I was by players. Some umpires didn't like me because you could actually say things to an umpire in those days which were obscene, and they'd say, "Did you just say that to me?" And you could actually go, "Yes, I apologise, sir. I didn't call you an F and C. I called you a C and a no. So I apologise. Did you just say that? I apologise for that too." And you could retract it. They'd give you a chance to retract it. And so you'd give him both barrels and then retract it. And I used to give him, every time he made a bad decision, I'd give him both barrels and retract it straight away. But the point was made. He didn't like me. I didn't like him. And he singled that out. It wasn't a free kick. Had no bearing on anything. Yeah. Anyway, so I felt that he took a great deal of pleasure in when he didn't need to. All he needed to do was, I'm steaming. He came up and gave me the reason why he gave the free kick after the 3/4 time. And I just thought, why wouldn't you run off to the middle like all the other umpires? No, but he wanted to tell me. So he got there. And, I just got angrier and angrier. My best mate, Chris Whitman, he hung around with me. Good old brother Wits. Piggy ran off. He was pissed off, and I was sticking up for him. Anyway, we went through the huddle. Whitty joined up the other side of the huddle again. We jogged in together. And Alan Joyce has given it to me. He said, "I should put you on the bench." And pardon my language,
You can swear.
he said, "Tell me why I shouldn't put you on the bench." And it was a really close game, and I said, "It's too close and I'm your best fucking player." Anyway, Joycey was a hard man, but didn't come back all that hard when challenged. And he looked at me and went, "Whitty, what were you doing?" And I kicked, I think, 2 and gave away a few more in the first 6 or 7 minutes of the last quarter, and the game was done.
Poor Whitty's just trying to get back to the huddle when you're bashing blokes in the Essendon one.
I've dragged him into hell. Yeah.
Mate, you've had a footy career and a footy life, really, that I think we'd probably need 6 hours to get through, but I've got to keep us moving because I just want to go through a couple of moments. So, Geelong fan growing up, I was. So, a lot of Geelong fans didn't like you, Derm, because
I charging too much to get into the Lyric nightclub?
The Lyric, very, very good. So they didn't like you because I think you took a grand final away from them, not because of who you were as a player, but 89 is folklore type stuff, and I know you were told this story. Yeah, well, exactly right. It's a huge game, and first bounce you get smashed.
Yeah.
What sort of I don't know what my question is other than to tell me about. I don't know.
I got Yatesy earlier in the year. Wrong jumper. He's in the wrong jumper.
Yeah.
Gave him a bit of a send-off while he was being carried off. And it was half dirty. I was third man up. I need him down the middle. I don't think Yatesy's got the full complement of gonads down there anymore, so we might have had a bit of one cut away. So I had what was coming. I just didn't think it'd be at that moment.
Yeah, true.
He well and truly got me. He broke a couple of ribs, put a split in the kidneys. And he's a ripping bloke.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, Yatesy.
Well, do you look at like modern day and you see Petrarca, what's happened this year with him, and you look back at what you did in '89, which is broken ribs, kidneys, spit and blood, all that sort of stuff. Dipper wasn't happy with all the attention you get, by the way. He said, he's always the one with fucking broken ribs. I was the one with real broken ribs.
Yeah, real broken ribs. Mine still haven't healed. They still stick out like that.
But do you was that just the way it was, and you go and play? You're not trying to be a hero, I'm assuming. Yeah,
you knew the job.
Yeah.
And there'll be somebody watching this and they'll say, "Oh, yeah, false bravado on that." It's not. It's the era you're in. You are in that era. Like my kids grow up. My son was really quite a talented footballer, and he's in his own era. My daughter, God love her, she's a lefty, complete and utter lefty. She's a vegan, and that's the era she's growing up in. That's what she knows. Mine, well, I ate meat and 3 veg 5 nights a week. I mean, so that I know I'm taking it to literal extremes, but it's what you're in, the era you're in, and that's what we did. We just accepted that you were running the risk of getting injured but at the hand of your opposition if the moment presented itself. So, yeah, we did that. And Yatesy did that. They're somehow able to stay on. The one thing I'd say about Christian Petrarca, we've had a few doctors and the likes, and you can sort of understand it because at half time I've gone into the urinals because you drink so much fluid, as you'd be well aware. It was a hot day, and I've gone to the urinal, and jeepers, I've yelled to the doctor, nothing but blood's coming out, to my reckoning. So you clamp shut, say, "Doc, tell me what this is." Bang, let go again. And he went, "Oh, no, that's your kidneys. You got some real issues in there." I went, "And?" And he said, "How you feeling?" I said, "Well, not great, but yeah, I think I'm all right." He said, "Can you keep going?" And I went, "Yeah." And I said, "So what do you want me to do?" And he said, "Drink lots of water and don't tell anyone about this." That was the diagnosis at half time. Yeah. So that was, and that doctor, those doctors had nothing but our absolute best interests at heart because they were able to weigh up the human in me. It meant more to me to keep playing than it would of a serious illness that I was capable of playing with. So I rationalise that these days, these boys that are playing out, and good luck to them. To me, their rationale is that's an injury which could affect me down the track. No, that wins, that takes precedence. And I get that, I understand it. Our rationale, as I say, you are in your own era. Our rationale was, no, this moment counts more. This one counts more than what comes down the track. This is what I want more than protecting me for future health. That's what we did. I remember seeing an interview once with a Russian weightlifter, and he got interviewed. Well, clearly it was an interview. And they asked him and said, "How much does it mean to you?" And he said, "If there's one tablet that I can take to make me win gold medal and I die next week, I take tablet." That was that type of mentality of that era. We weren't that bad, I must say, but that sort of rationale.
The era was different. So, like, I wasn't alive then, Dermott, some of it. I was born in '89, but so did everyone rock up at nightclubs on motorbikes? Was that an everyone thing? Was that an era thing?
Good on
was that just a Dermott Brereton thing?
That was just yeah.
You walked into that. What happened there? That's just
I had a Harley. I've got an Indian. I ride an Indian now, dark horse. One of my mates, I tell you what, I had 2 mates I lived with for quite some time. One owned nightclubs, the other ran nightclubs, and I was in nightclubs.
The trilogy.
Man.
The golden trilogy.
Jeez, some of that's... There are some book companies that are offering, as time goes on and they find out more and more of these rumours, they're offering more and more money for me to write.
So you're going to ride off into the sunset one day.
My mate who he was the manager at the Metro, huge nightclub, housed 2,500, 3,000 people at once. So on a Friday, Saturday night, it could have a queue of 400, 500, 600 people long going down Burke Street. And I said, I'll come in after the game tonight. Yeah. I'm on my motorbike. And the queue is massive. And I'm about to pull up on the side of and it started raining. And I just went, no, I'm not leaving my good bike out in the rain. So I rode up, and my mate Graham, who was in there, who's a Perth boy, he's seen me and he's given it the ba-bum, 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 up into the nightclub. And I kicked the stand down, but there's a Maori bouncer by the name of Robbie. Now, Robbie was 155 kilos. And he looked at me, and I've seen Robbie just grab people by the arm and not have to do anything else because he was actually squashing the bones in their arm, you know. And he's looked at me going like that, and I've put the helmet on the back and thrown him the keys, and he caught them. And I've gone, shit, I hope he doesn't chase me now. Walked off. And that was that. That was it. Yeah, it's just a bit of petulance and idiocy all rolled into one.
That's very good. It's one of my favourite stories. I had some laughs watching a few different things, and that was one of them.
Some people don't believe. They say, no, you didn't do it. That's all.
Well, there would have been 2,000 people to watch you do it. You got...
Yeah, I was just talking about playing in that grand final and also just, you know, the things that you would get up to in a game. Did you feel like you played better angry? I heard you talking about it on the broadcast. I think this round, Eagles North Melbourne, to Harley Reid, getting up and about, getting sort of a bit angry. And you said that you used to, before a game, just walk up behind Dipper and just...
Give him a clip?
Yeah, give him a clip just to get him angry.
Yeah, some of the coaches did too. They'd grab him by the jumper and physically shake him. Yeah, he was... he was one of those. I felt that I could find extra effort if I was highly agitated. Everybody runs to the point where they go, I'm knackered. Can I go on? But if you're knackered and somebody's giving you a clip and you go, I want to get him, I want to get to him, I want to tackle him, I want to get to that. If you're that same and you've got a bit of anger there, you go, and you can get there. So I felt that on edge, I was always just that little bit. And once again, like you look at Will's a key back when his height and reach and size, I didn't have that reach and size. So I had to work harder in areas. And I felt like it knocked my body around too much to play that way for the entirety of the time. So I'd drift in and out of games occasionally. Alan Jeans used to get frustrated with it. He'd say, why don't you just fill your boots, son? The whole game, play that one out. I'm like, it's a bit hard. I'll turn it on if you need it. And he'd get so agitated and angry with me, that I'd flick the switch.
That's what Harley Reid has. You can see that clearly.
Yes, you can see, but he's able. See, there's a difference between getting angry and playing footy, and you can go off the boil, and being angry and channeling it into winning the game, winning the ball, winning that moment. There's a big difference. He's got that, yeah.
And he's learning. You learn that. You don't necessarily have that balance at 7, 8, 8, 9.
No, you don't. But I reckon it does come from your DNA. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I want to shift out of footy. I know we miss Sydney and Collingwood and all of that, but Media
Good
land.
times. I'll gloss over it for you. Collingwood were a wonderful club to play for. They treated their players so well. Sydney were disjointed when I was there. We had 6 different sites we could go to during the week. Weights was at a different spot to football training, which was at a different spot to running, which was at a different spot to the physio, which is a different spot to the doctors, and the pool was a car drive's away. So you'd come out of the physio in Chatswood, go back to the ground and say, I'm not training tonight, but they've told me I've got to go swimming. And then you drive to Randwick. So it was so disjointed. It was it was amazing how they actually got a team out in the ground, but loved the blokes there, made some great mates with them. Collingwood were awesome. Awesome. I've come out of Hawthorn, and so 87, we lost the grand final in 87. In 1988, we won the day grand final and night grand final. We lost 3 games for the year. I was out either injured or suspended for those 3. In 89, same again. Only 3, same again. I played 1 where I came off at quarter time. The other 2 lost games during the year, I was out. So the next time I played in a losing game after the 87 grand final was 1990. So that was a winning culture. The most games we ever lost in a row when I was playing at Hawthorn in my time, 82 to 93. Our biggest losing run, 2. We never lost 3 games in a row. So it's an amazing fact. And even when you went back to the social club, if you lost one of those 3 games, the stalwart supporters would look at you and they go, they couldn't deal with it. I went to Collingwood, my first game, I've walked back into the social club with Saverio Rocker and we'd lost. Geelong had beaten us.
Yeah.
It was like the Beatles walked into the place. The big band struck up, people are blowing kazoos and streamers and I've looked at Saverio and said, this is not the real world, mate. They're rewarding you because you're a Collingwood player. You get reward for winning. And that was the difference. They loved their players so much. The culture was quite different to what I'd come out of. Yeah.
In the media land, like, is that an easy transition for you? Did you find that easy? There is an acclimatisation period where you have to let go being an ex-player. You'd feel it. If you're doing your job right as a media analyst on football games, you'll praise good stuff and you'll critique bad play. When you're recently out of being an AFL player, you'll praise. It doesn't come that easy to publicly be critical of somebody who you played with, played against, or have respect for. But you got to do it if that's your job. Took me a while to get used to that. There is an acclimatisation period for that. To see the game, when I first came out of the game, the special comments men were saying, the commentary would go and the ball gets kicked down the line and there's a big mark taken by Saverio Rocker, Schofield. Schofield's a beautiful spoil. How did you see that one? And the special comments go, oh, yeah, great fist, that one. Yeah, really good spoil. And I'm like, well, there's so much more to it than that. The camera's there and I'm looking there. So I started to describe what was happening behind and that sort of put me on the map as a special comments person. The Ralphie Horowitz says it. He says, you're the first to come out of the football game and change the way that was analysed. So, yeah, proud of that. Did anyone help you with that?
No,
nope.
Just did it. Just did it. Yeah. I'm a believer that if you're in the media, if you're in that privileged seat, tell the person who's watching or listening something that they don't know. Yeah.
Because you're a helper. So now I'm working with Fox. We've worked a couple of games together. Me as a boundary rider and now doing specials, same thing. And I say all the time, people ask me all the time, what's this person like to work with? What's this person like to work with? And you to work with, you are, I find anyway, you bring me in. I have no idea what I'm doing some of the time, right? Well, I'm just starting.
We don't know that.
Correct. But yeah. I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but you're definitely you're a helper.
Yeah.
I love working with you.
The reason being is because the seat you've got down there, once again, it's a privileged seat. You're seeing stuff which we can't see upstairs. And God love all my colleagues in the media, but they feel like upstairs is so much elevated. Well, it is elevated and it's a better place to be than down there. Down there sees stuff we can't see. And these guys rarely throw down there because they don't want the attention to be away from them. I'm like, Schofield down there has got the best seat in the house of what just happened then. He's got the best knowledge of that fullback is playing against that forward who has these traits. I'm a forward. He's a caller. The other bloke up here is an ex-on baller. Who knows how to... Well, if it comes in a game like that, how does he beat him? And it's just teamwork. It's just... Yeah, I can't understand why it doesn't happen more. I try and do it. As you know, there's a timing thing because if play's still going and the ball gets kicked up and there's a mark of the year, you don't want...
Will, tell us about the backman behind the ground. Yeah. Shut up, Will.
Yeah, and do they scream down the line at us when we're doing that?
Derm, get to the point. Shut up.
Yeah, that's what I do. I actually write down that on my notepad. Be succinct. Still hasn't worked.
That's bloody good.
How did you and Dipper become like two notable, like played together all those years? He is obviously one of the greatest sort of boundary callers. Like, did you, I don't know, was it just something at Hawthorn or?
He was a local zoned player from Q Comets, I think. Could be Q Rovers. And I was zoned to Hawthorn in the... Jeepers, when did I get there? 1980. I was 14 when they first asked me to go to the club. 15 when I played under 19s. No, he's an Italian two-bob layer and I'm an Irish two-bob layer. So we sort of gravitated together a bit and had a bit of fun. We just owned players. We had an incredible run of luck with great players from our zones and the supplementing of recruited talent into our team was fantastic. So we got to play in 8 grand finals because of the way that our officials were able to put the team together.
You were one of the original panellists of the footy show.
Yep.
And you did some roaming stuff as well. Again, some of my laughs the last couple of days.
Is this going to involve the casino?
Well, I don't know. I just wanted to ask you what that environment was like, because the footy show, like for me, like just, it was a staple. Like Thursday nights, stay up late and watch the footy show, right? And you were involved from the start. So I just wondered what that environment was like from a media point of view. We all watched it and saw it, but
yeah. Well, the footy show was in the late 70s. The 80s, you'd hear about a sportsman's night at another club and you'd go. They were really well patronised because you'd see sports stars up close and they'd tell you stuff up close. And what happened with the footy show, it became a sportsman's night every Thursday. That's my read on the show, and you didn't have to leave your own home. So it became so successful. And it was, Sam was just an incredible personality. He's offbeat. He's irreverent. He's candid, highly, highly intelligent. I don't always agree with him, but God, I love him, and so a lot of the time I do agree with him. Eddie's seriously smart, got a quick wit, intelligent, and is one of the best live show hosts we've seen in this country. And then you'd have your filtering in of various current day players.
Talent.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, one of those. And then if you were able to, I mean, you could see it was almost in reverse to what we were saying a second ago. So the players would come in, if there was somebody who you weren't too sure how they were going to speak, you put them on the panel and they literally just chat to them, but it was kind of like a pseudo interview to get information out of them.
Yeah.
But if you could hold the mic and you'd go out and you'd do so. Billy had his wheel for years and years. Excuse me while I scratch that shoulder.
Yeah. You bashed a bloke live on TV.
Well, I didn't bash him, but I gave him a clip.
Kept coming back.
As you said on live TV, he was being a dickhead.
He's gone for okay. Well, I'm talking to you now, then. So They say, Derm, you've got to go out to the opening of this new bar at Crown Casino, a sportsman's bar. So, all right, okay, I'll get there. So we go to where at, what were they, 8:30 or 9:30?
9:30.
9:30. So you got to be there an hour earlier, 8:30. Yeah, standard. All right. We're coming to you right off the top. Eddie will do his intro, which was meant to last 3 minutes. It normally went about 23 minutes. He can talk, that boy, Maguire. He's one of my best mates of all time, but he's so good. Anyway, so I'm there, 8:30. We start setting up. Anyway, there's a few people having a drink. There's a group of blokes, and they're quite well dressed. And they're roughly my age, around the 30 years of age mark. And this bloke, why didn't they send someone who was any good? And I've gone, ha, 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 good run, mate.
Nice.
Anyway, so they're going, how long till we're on? Half an hour. And the bloke's going, I reckon Newman's much better than you. And I'm like, so do I, mate.
Yep.
And it went on. He probably had about 5 or 6 goes. And then it said, right, 3, 2, 1, the show's going in. And I've got the little monitor in front of me, so I'm watching and thinking I'll be on in, let's be honest, 3-minute dialogue intro at the front. I'll probably be on in 10, 12 minutes. So I'm ready, mic'd up, wired up. And the bloke started again. And I said, listen, mate, I've given you half a dozen goes. Pull your head in or I'll get the bouncer to bounce you the fuck out of this place. I'll kick your ass so hard your nose will bleed. Anyway, he's gone. He's turned to his mates and gone, I told you I could get a rise out of him. I told you. He's had 6 goes, Will. 6. Anyway, he's then turned to me and gone, good on you, Dermott. Yeah, we're just having playing, mate. We're just seeing if we could get you going. And I've gone, all right, mate. Okay. He's going, yeah, cheers. And I've gone, yeah, no worries, mate. Good one. You got me. Anyway. All right, let's cross out to Crown Casino. And he's jumped in front of the camera. And I've gone, push. And he's bounced again. And I've gone, hang on a second. Bang! I've given him one to the side. I didn't punch him, Will. It's just the stub of the hand. It was a bloody good
I did
shove.
notice that you were pushing.
Yeah, fend off. It was my personal space. Anyway, he actually was a Crown employee. He got in trouble.
That's good. Oh, mate, the live TV element. I mean, that's different back in the day.
That's live TV, isn't it?
It is.
They had one of the big execs from one of the American talk shows who was a great, I'm going to make it up here, not Frosty was English, but one of those big, huge daytime talk time shows. And he came out and he said, I'm going to watch and see how you guys go at live TV. And he goes, Letterman. It was Letterman. Well, the first incarnation of Letterman. He's a producer. And he came out and he sat in the box. And they said, right, 3, 2, and he's looked sideways and gone, you mean you're going live? And they went, yeah. And he went, you mean what's happening there right now is going to air? And he's gone, yeah. And he's going, that's not how we do it. We record live an hour earlier and edit it down. He was staggered that live TV for Australia is live. It's what happens, yeah.
I was going to say that for Australia. Now, mate, our next guest is actually outside. So we're going to wrap this up quickly. Is there any quick-fire social medias? Yeah. So it's not social media. We know social media. Yeah. Social media. I thought you might like that. This is where the people get to ask you the questions, Derm, but we're going to have to rapid-fire them, mate. So okay. Dan's going to give them to you.
There's one here, I've lost it where it said, but it was if the AFL started today, what would be the amount of teams that would be the perfect amount of teams for a competition?
Cool. It's a good question.
It's a great question. Purse light on. Yeah. I don't know. You'd want an even number. But I don't know if you could have 4 just now. But you probably light on for 1 right now. Yeah, I'm just spitballing here. So I would say 3, maybe grow into what's Perth population?
Poor, not the right person to ask.
Yeah, it's not huge, is it? Such a beautiful.
There's room down south for 1 in Perth.
Yeah,
Busselton Way, I think. would look nice. But I don't think we're going to get that anytime soon by the sounds of things.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
One more for you. Do you remember filming, this is from the Jaiden, do you remember filming that Toyota ad in the mid-2000s? And was it a fun experience?
Yes, I do.
What was it?
Oh, that was the Oh What a Feeling when they jump at the end. They did it on the 89 final, yeah. And they the producer was very clever. He did a few things where he told the actors, but not me. So we got the real reaction. And he said, right, pretend you're going to spew up. And they're going, oh, yeah. What? And he said, right, here's some what did he say it was? He said, what do you like? Do you like, what is it, creamed rice? I said, yeah, I love creamed rice. And he's handed me this stuff, which was like off seafood chowder in a plain can, cold. And I've gone, so it was a real reaction. Yeah. So stuff like that. Yeah, it was great fun. Yeah.
Last one from the Eggman.
Yeah. How do you like your eggs?
Poached. I'm always a poached man. Has to be runny. No clear element to the white though. Yeah. Must be all white. Yolk must be runny. Must be poached. A little bit of salt over the top. Once out of maybe a fortnight, I'll have a little bit of Eggs Benedict, but mainly
Once
just
a fortnight. That's
very particular. It sounded very particular.
Very particular. And once a fortnight.
No, you can't spoil yourself with that because it's so rich. Occasionally, a bit of bacon underneath, so you can do away with the salt on top. White toast. So white toast, poached eggs sitting in the middle there, salt over the top, away you go. That's probably 4 or 5 days a week, and there may be bacon underneath the others. Other than that, just some toast.
A big thanks to our sponsors, Paywise, ID Athletic, Whippersnapper Whisky, Mamba Digital, TABtouch, Shelter Brewing Co, Leaderville Precinct, Camera Electronic, and our...
Say hi to your mum for me.
I will, Dermott. Mum's a very big fan. She was very excited that we're interviewing you. You've been a favourite for a long time. We bumped into each other at the grand final last year. We're probably both pissed, but you might have worked. I was definitely pissed.
I was just walking, minding my own business down at Torquay one time in summertime and bumped into her and said, hello, how you going? She says, you would know who my son is. He's making his way over in Perth.
She's my biggest fan.
My mum was the same. In fact, don't ever run into my mum. She'll ear bash you about her son.
We should put them together. Derm, it's been a pleasure, mate. We could have done this for 4 hours. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks guys. Really enjoyed it.